Hi guys, Bridget Surratt from Canna Patient Resource Connection and Ganja for Autoimmune Arthritis. Snuck out to the car to try to get some quiet. So I see a lot of states are up for legalizing rec real soon, and I wanted to talk to you guys about that. First thing I want to say is I am all for recreation. I am all for everybody's ability to use the safer choice. However, there's a little bit of an issue, and there are some latent things that happen that aren't really written into the bills that you might want to pay attention to. You have my geriatric hands here, you have four examples from the 2012 legalization to look at. And then you have five more that this is getting ready to happen to because they just legalized recreation. And so how in the world could legalizing recreational marijuana actually be harmful? I know, it's like this conundrum, right? Like, it's just a plant, nobody dies from it. We can walk in, we still have access to it. I don't see what the issue is, right? Yeah. Media is not really covering what's going on in Colorado except for these fantastic sensationalist stories like, ooh, Denver has a program for the homeless, or ooh, Pueblo has scholarships for, their high schoolers based off marijuana funds. But that's really a drop in the bucket for that money. So you're getting to see all of these sensationalist stories, and you get to hear about this booming economy and all the millions of dollars in taxes that it's bringing in. And it just seems so magical and wonderful, and everybody in Colorado is free to smoke their bud. No, that's not what's happening. Colorado's recriminalizing. And they're making felons out of patients again. And each of the four states, the first four that legalized recreational, is now either fighting to keep their medical marijuana program, or they've already lost it, like Washington State has. And if you don't believe me, which you shouldn't, you should just go ahead and research it yourself. Let me know. I can send you the bills here in Colorado. I can send you the information about Washington, and my ears to the ground in Alaska and Oregon say they're doing the exact same thing. So that's part of the reason, actually, why CPRC started Canna Patient Resource Connection, is because they were starting to phase out our medical. But let's talk about why. Keep in mind, you're talking about a federally illegal substance. So legal does not mean legal. There is no such thing as legal marijuana in the United States at all, ever. So please don't think that there is. What we're doing is still a felony, according to the federal government. So let's talk about this. So the media is only covering these sensational things. So what happens when you legalize rec? And I have my handy dandy notes. So number one, retail marijuana, not recreational, but retail is the key word there, retail. That's your sign that they are about to do something nasty, or they're going to do something nasty with it. Also, if your reps say, oh, but we're working with the folks from Colorado, that should actually be a very big red flag for you. I've sat in on those meetings, and they are not what you think they are. So you have retail marijuana that's bringing you these ridiculous regulations, and a ridiculous tax scheme to rake in money for the state, almost like a vice tax. And it seems all good and all of that. For the first 2 years, everything went really cool with it. It was like, hey, man, you can walk in, you can just go buy rec. It's not tracked. Fantastic. So a lot of our patients actually loved it because they weren't tracked. Unfortunately, it was double the price. So one of the benefits to recreation is you may not actually be tracked. Also, if your state does not offer a comprehensive qualifying conditions list like Colorado, who's behind the times now, rec could be a really good thing. But the tax and regulate is what you really have to watch out for. So now that you've legalized this, you have retail marijuana. And retail brings in lots of tax money because, we all know everybody smokes pot, right? Everybody uses it like this glass of wine thing. Okay, that's cool, So you're going to bring in lots and lots and lots of money. Well, what happens after that? Your lawmakers who are probably struggling with their economies right now go, oh, that's a lot of money. And all that money, guess where it goes? Does it go to these infrastructure projects? Does it go to schools? Does it go to the homeless? Does it go to all of these things that could improve your city? You might think so, but not at all. Not at all. It goes into the abyss of a general fund. You'll have a couple feel-good things that your retail tax money is going to be allocated for, but then the rest of it will just disappear into the general fund. And I'll tell you what that's going to pay for in just a minute. So after you get all of that tax money for, the greed means they want you in the shops. They don't want you cultivating. They don't want you in medical shops because they're not going to make as much. It's somehow looked down upon to overtax medical patients, despite the fact that it's happening. But it is what it is. They're not going to charge the same taxes they could with rec in a medical shop. So then the other thing that happens is now you have medical and retail shops. And so your government officials are going to start seeing that tax money. They're going to want more of it. So they're going to start saying, oh, this framework is too difficult to work around. Oh, I can't believe we have to define between medical and recreational. It's just so confusing. I don't know what to do. Bless their little hearts. They know exactly what to do. Unfortunately, what they're going to do is lobby to get rid of your medical program so they can get more of that recreational tax money that's coming in. And again, we'll get to where that recreational tax money goes to because it is law enforcement. It is, believe it or not, law enforcement, your prisons and your addiction programs. You're basically paying for the reintroduction of prohibition. Recreational is prohibition reintroduced. I'll explain that in a bit. So, let's see, we already got the law enforcement stuff. So, just so you know, within 10 years, and this new federal administration may actually delay the implementation of some of these programs, but the average is within 10 years, you will find your medical program will be housed into one retail marijuana program because it's just going to be so confusing and hard for them to keep up with. So, okay, well, you can still buy it. You can still walk into a store. It's still there, right? It's legal, right? You can still use it. No, not so much. You're going to pass a bill and your rec bill is going to look fantastic. And then people are going to start taking liberties with that. And then all of a sudden you're going to see 10, 20, 15, however many bills start popping up each session in your state legislature to stifle this bill that will be passed. But how does this play in on the federal level? So consider what's going on the federal level, not looking at administration, not looking at anything, because this was before Trump. So you cannot blame this on Trump. This was happening before. This was happening long before. What's going on is when they looked at descheduling cannabis not that long ago, probably like 6 months to a year ago now at this point, they could not do it because there was a dual framework. States voted in medical and states voted in recreational. It is what it is. And they can't reschedule something for two different purposes. You know what I mean? So what federally is wanting, what's wanting to happen up at the federal level is a GW Pharmaceuticals based medical program, which is part of the reason they're phasing out the medical. They're doing this all on federal advice. So once your state gets rid of medical, it makes it very easy for the government to come up and say, oh, we have synthetics, we have Insys Labs is doing all of this. And look, their CBD is, even though it's synthetic, it's approved, FDA approved for glioma treatment. Or look at this GW Pharma Sativex, go take it, you'll be fine. It's the same thing as what you're doing. It isn't the same thing as what you're doing. So that's the first step, is phasing out the medical so that they can reschedule to Schedule 2 and implement the synthetics programs medically throughout the United States. That's the plan. Now, as far as recreational goes, you're like, oh, well, if we legalize rec, we still have access to it. Yeah, have fun with that. What's going to happen is the same thing that they're trying to do here. They're going to cap your THC percent, which is basically going to knock out your RSO, all of your concentrates, all of your edibles, all of it. You will be only allowed, when this is all said and done, to sell flower that is less than 16% THC, which eliminates a whole hell of a lot of flower. And it eliminates all access to medical marijuana strains, because almost all of them that we have are well above 16% THC. What people don't understand is that by legalizing rec, it looks good, it feels good on paper, you think you're doing a good job, you're going to kill a whole bunch of people. So unless you are willing to get up and fight for your medical marijuana program, you best not vote that rec in. Until you have patient protections for your medical marijuana program, and you know that cancer patient down the street is not going to lose their access because you can go in and buy, your quarter ounce of whatever flower that you have. You need to not vote in recreational. Medical dosing is incredibly high. Even in Colorado, we're paying $1,500 to $3,000 in a medical dispensary just to maintain our health. If we were to go, when we went rec, and if we were to lose this medical program, I would pay double that. And we're already losing our grow rights. So while Colorado had some of the best laws, they no longer do. And we've buried 14 since August as a result of that. So just to give you an idea of where your tax money is going to go, your marijuana tax money, you'll go to fix a couple roads, maybe a couple feel-good programs so they can say they're doing something, but the bulk of it is going to go towards law enforcement, just so you're aware. It's going to go towards law enforcement so they can come and they can harass you, they can recriminalize you, they can put felony penalties. Say, Illinois, your new bill is you can grow 5 plants, up to 5 plants. Probably only 3 in flower. I don't know. I don't know what the gist of that is. I don't think it actually even said. So if you grow 6, guess what? You're a felon. And these things, that's how it's reintroduced. And what they will do later on is they'll say, oh, they're growing those 5. They're not in stores. We need to get rid of that. Absolutely. And they'll do that as well. So you guys, I would think very, very carefully before legalizing anything recreational. Make sure your patient protections are in place. If you do not have patient protections in, do not vote yes on recreational. If you haven't had your medical program for longer than, say, 10 years to figure out the nuances, to figure out the dosing, to figure out the pricing, and to figure out the system, don't vote in recreational. Colorado, working with Colorado means they are coming here, and what they're hearing is get your rec program in place ASAP and then phase out your medical. I've heard them say it. I work with these folks as well. That's what your people are being told. And so they're coming back going, oh, we're going to put in some recreational. We're going to make a couple $1 million, on this tax stuff. And then we're going to screw you over. Absolutely. Because somebody's high is always going to be more important than your health. Somebody's ability to make that money, that tax money, always is going to supersede your health. And there are thousands and thousands of people waiting on this as a medical therapy. Don't take that away from them by voting in rec without voting in the right rec. And the right rec is a full federal deschedule. All right, guys. Ciao for now.